Today we are replacing a hanging light with a flush mount light to give appearance of a larger kitchen. The first step is to turn off the circuit breaker. So this is what the circuit breaker looks like. It's the electrical box, and it will be most likely found outside your house or in your garage. The circuits have been labeled, and in my case, those that are noted as lights do not work the light I'm going to be changing. Instead, my light is on the kitchen breaker. Make sure you know which breaker you need to avoid getting hurt. You can do an initial test by flipping a breaker and then checking the light switch to see if the electricity has been cut off. Step 2 is to remove the light bulbs. The next step is to remove the glass globe by unscrewing the brass point at the tip of the light. Be careful because you are holding glass, and once it releases, you don't want to drop it. Step 4 is to remove the light from the ceiling. To remove the hanging portion, unscrew at the base of the ceiling cap. I do not plan to reuse the light, so I cut the wires because I'm going to be twisting the light around to release it from the cap and did not want to fight the wires twisting with the chain. Also, it will be easier to disconnect the wires if I don't have the weight of the light to worry about. Step 5 is to remove the ceiling plate by twisting it slightly. Step 6 is to disconnect the light wires from the ceiling wires. Start by separating the wires, and then you can remove the caps by twisting those caps off. The caps are just screwed on, so twist to unscrew and the wires can then be pulled apart. But be careful not to touch the wires in case they are hot. We did turn off the circuit breaker, but you can never be 100% certain that the breakers were wired or labeled properly. So I will show you in a few moments how to test the wires to confirm if it's safe to touch them. The wires in my left hand are from the light fixture. We're just going to remove those and get them out of the way. You can see how much less control you would have if you had the weight of the light as well to maneuver. However, if you want to be able to reuse the light, you will have no choice but to maybe enlist a friend to help you hold the weight of the light while you work. Step 7 is to remove the bracket. Before we attempt to remove the bracket from the ceiling, either cap the wires or test them to confirm that they are not hot. This is a safety requirement. Playing with electricity is no joke. You must take safety precautions to avoid serious injuries and potential life threats. The bracket is simply held in place with 2 screws. You may find that even once the screws are out, the bracket stays in place due to the time it's been in there. Just give a little tug and it'll release. Step 8 is to wire the new light. But before we get started wiring the new light, let's take a look at what we're working with. I've chosen a flush mount light, which means it will fit tightly against the ceiling. When I pull the contents from the box, you'll see the light, a mount, some screws, and then caps. Everything you need to be able to install this light. When you turn it over, you'll see that you've got a white wire and you have a black wire. We will be connecting the black wire to the black wire and the white wire to the white wire. Before we connect the wires, we need to install the bracket or the anchor. You'll use the 2 screws that came with it to use the same holes that the prior anchor came out of. And just screw them down. You'll notice you have 3 wires. You've got a copper grounding wire, you have a white neutral wire, and a black power wire. Note the 2 zigzagged metal brackets. These will fit into the hole of the bracket to secure to the wall once it's wired. Now we are ready to attach the light to the wires in the ceiling. We will start by connecting the white to the white, and we'll use our pliers to twist the wires together. We'll cap it with the caps that came with the kit by twisting it over the wires. It will help keep the wires secure and safe from touching other wires. Just twist it on. We're going to do the same thing with the black wire. This black wire has some plaster on it, but it is the black wire. It is the hot wire. And you'll do the same thing with this. Just twist the wires around one another and put the cap on. Now the light didn't come with a copper wire or a grounding wire, and normally the copper from the ceiling would be sufficient. But this one is pretty short, so I added a piece of copper from the old light and connected to the copper in the ceiling. And then I can attach the copper to the light by wrapping it around a screw and tightening it down. The reason for the grounding is really just to keep you from getting shocked. Once the wiring is done, you can tuck away the wirings and the caps underneath the bracket to give you a little bit more room to attach the light. Just tuck it away in there. Then all you have to do is take those two brackets underneath and pop them into the center hole of that anchor, and it will secure it to the ceiling. Now that it is secured to the ceiling, let's test it to see if it works. Turn the circuit breaker back on and then flip the switch to see if it lights up. If it doesn't light up, chances are the wires have slipped and are not attached to one another, and you'll need to take it down and try again. There you have it. Congratulations, you've installed your first light. If you liked this video and found it easy to follow, please like and subscribe below. Thank you for joining today. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe below.